Hello, nerds, and welcome. We are Crossing the Nerdverse, bringing you yet another episode. My name is Travis. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic co hosts, Eric, Ryan, and Clark. This week's topic dice and how they can be used for romance. Actually, we're going to be talking about how you can meet people in the Nerdverse. I just really wanted to let that joke fly early. We're going to skip the hey, how are yous and get right into the meat and potatoes. I'm just
Really?
kidding. We're gonna get I'm just gonna jump straight into the topic first with uh, favorite person or favorite relationship that's ever come about from gaming or nerdverse in general, and least favorite relationship that has ever come about from nerdverse and or gaming. And
Oh
let's
yeah,
start with Ryan. Give
we're
us your
talking
favorite and least favorite.
positives and negatives. Okay,
Yeah, we're
okay.
gonna go top them. I have a feeling Clark's is gonna be the same person.
For both.
Yeah, all right. Positive and
That was
negative.
uncalled for. I'm sorry, Chris. I hope you're not listening to this live.
Bold
I
of you
just
to
feel
assume
really
he's the
bad.
best.
Ooh, ow, Chris.
I've got really good friends from gaming, man.
Chris, I just want you to know that I love you. I don't know if Clark does anymore, apparently, but I think you're great.
This is starting off weird for a no homework, sit and chat kind of session here.
It's a lot of shade. Poor Chris caught a stray immediately.
No, I didn't say it wasn't it. I'm just saying bold of you.
Well, I suppose when it comes to that kind of thing, right, you're going to get a whole spectrum of stuff, and I like the idea of like, what's your favorite, what's your least favorite kind of thing. And when I start looking at it like in the nerdverse, right? Anybody in the nerdverse, this could be somebody I met on Xbox, somebody I met at an LGS playing Magic, at the comic book shop, whatever. That's a loaded question. That's a hard one.
It's a huge list. Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
let you're gonna have to announce your favorite to everybody, and the rest of your friends will judge you.
interesting. Well, I have a lot of friends that we met through like board games and stuff, which are really cool.
Met a
Ironically,
lot
I
of
don't.
people at the church, honestly, like in high
Yeah,
school.
well, and that's a weird one for me to bring up, right? Because the Halo LAN parties at church were some of my favorite times.
Absolutely
And
amazing.
yeah, but it's weird because the nerdverse there gets a little mixed up. I knew a lot of the guys there from church itself.
Jenkins is the favorite.
Yeah, Jenkins is the favorite. And I know it, but at the same LAN party we also did a lot of like Magic the Gathering playing.
Yep.
And it's a whole different vibe. I know that I've had just as many, probably more, negative interactions, especially when it comes to like Xbox, and Xbox friends and Xbox parties, than I've had
But
positive ones.
everybody's 10 feet tall and bulletproof over the internet.
Oh yeah. Um, man, I don't know if I could pick a You know what? I take that back. It's kind of a weird niche when we've talked about it before, but some of the favorite relationships I've made through the Nerdverse exclusively was back in the day when we were playing World of Darkness RPG through a chat client called Wonton Wicked. I know, right? It's real niche.
It's worse than Vent, man.
Yeah. And so this was pretty cool. Wonton Wicked was a pretty decent community. You can meet some pretty cool people there. And at the time we were
For sure.
playing, yeah, we were playing a game called Mage the Awakening. It was in the new World of Darkness setting. And my Mage Cabal ended up teaming up with a different Mage Cabal, of people from California that all ended up being just wonderful people. Well, most of them were from California. One was in Chicago. Um, and
Which one
so
was Chicago?
Carissa,
She was in Chicago?
indeed.
Shows how much I pay attention.
And so that's
WoW
probably
has a
one of
story.
the best friends that I've made in the nerdverse right there. And I know it's not one; it's technically a group of people. So I guess shout out to Jen, Angel, and Carissa. You guys were awesome, and Non Omnis Moriar was a fantastic game. As far as negatives go, man, we've had a lot of trash come down the pipe through like Xbox Live and World of Warcraft and stuff. Um, I don't know that I can pick a least favorite. There's a lot of them at the bottom of the barrel.
I have one, and when I say it, I think you will remember as well.
Is it
And
Canada?
I think you're gonna agree with me. No,
Not Canada. Okay.
worse. So I'll go next since Ryan and I's is connected. So favorite, I'll go favorite first, and it's actually going to be somebody I met on Xbox playing Halo 2. Ran into some people that weren't obnoxiously toxic and were also really chill. So shout out to the tandem pair of Bebop and Rocksteady.
Woo!
You guys are dope. Every time I turn on my Xbox, I have this like small like sliver of hope that it's like maybe they're online again.
Maybe my bro from 7 years ago is going to get online.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was definitely like my favorite like relationship that literally started with the foundation of gaming. All of my other friends I met through various activities. We shared gaming like as a deal, so don't take it as a slight that I didn't mention you guys personally. But yeah, Bebop and Rocksteady were on the top. Least favorite though, high school collaboration between two separate D&D groups, the Covenant, Ryan and I's gaming group, and a small group from Hagerman. Just to give you guys a brief breakdown of what happened, our tandem D&D run ended in a fist fight, and I can positively say everyone in the Covenant is a much better fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, that was gnarly, man. Like, so we got this.
To be fair, that guy hit me first, and that was when everything just kind of imploded.
So we got this reputation with our D&D group, our gaming club back in high school, of being super xenophobic and insular, and like we didn't like being
It
around
takes a
other
long
players
time
and
to
other
bring
people.
people into the group now.
And I really think that that's the reason, because we were really open to this. Like, yeah, we'll bring the two D&D groups together. It'll be great. Yada, yada, yada. No, that was terrible. Did not mix well.
That was awful. Shout out to the Covenant High School group of people that could throw absolute ham bones. So looking your way, Bones. Looking your way, Ryan and Kalen. And then, of course, we have to include Jake Crockett.
Oh, yeah.
One Cross Crockett, as we like to call him.
Oh, man,
He'd
I'd
rear way
completely
back and
forgotten
throw
about
one
that.
punch the whole time. He'd eat 8 shots on the way in, but he was throwing a big right hand every time. One Cross Crockett.
All right.
Yeah,
That was a little long-winded.
It was, but we fought another D&D group, and like I said,
Yeah.
the Covenant.
That is
Scrappers,
good
maybe.
though.
Well,
That's
and
good.
Good that they fought another D&D group.
I don't know.
Eric's like, stay toxic.
I mean,
toxic.
I mean, I've got some great ones.
But no, I think it's good to acknowledge the fact that there can be some really cool stuff come out of the Nerdverse, and some really not good stuff come out of the Nerdverse.
Well,
so.
And before Clark goes and ruins mine by having a nice story about meeting people online. So,
Yeah, how dare I dumpster you with my positivity?
yeah. Now let's just get this out of the way real quick. So, people I enjoyed playing with, everyone that helped me win in video games, be it Rainbow Six, NHL 22, NHL 21.
To hell with personal relationships.
Anybody that helped me, get my assists and goals, because especially in NHL, I like to play in front of the net. So you got to shoot the puck at the net. I tip it in. That's what I'm there for. So all you people banging shots from the point. And then all the people I don't like are the people that beat me in said video games. So anyone that beat me in my I did actually meet some decent people. I just don't remember all the names. Played with so many different people. Like there was a crew of us that played Rainbow Six and actually did a team online through like one of the I can't remember what video game site it was, and actually did like competitive gaming for a little bit together. We threw our hat in the ring and just tried it for fun. I mean, we were all, not all, 'cause some I think were underage, inebriated though, but it was very fun. I learned how good real gamers are. But yeah, so that's my shout out. People that help me win and score goals. It's always nice when they can get their apples. And yeah, anyone that beat me.
I'm just picturing the Dos Equis guy, but it's Eric's face where he's just like, stay toxic, my friends. And then he's just holding up a glass, just holding up a bottle
I'm
of
the
scotch.
most toxic
No,
guy
it's
in the
a-
world.
And the bottle of scotch just says Haterade right on it.
Written in Sharpie.
Yep. That's me.
I guess I'll go. So yes, mine has to be, I met my husband playing World of Warcraft.
You didn't say whether or not that was the positive or the negative.
Yes, that is the positive one. A lot of my like super great friends have come from World of Warcraft. I mean, I played in high school with Winap and Skebs, and I don't really talk to them as much because we're older now, but I still like follow them on Instagram and all that kind of fun stuff. And
Shout out
you
to
know,
Winap and Skebs. I hope they listen to the podcast.
Probably not, but I'll get on that. Like Pixie and Crazy are probably some of my best friends from World of Warcraft. We get together every few years. And then, I have Blad from WoW, Imp, Juicy. Like, I just have a ton of friends. I'll even call Snickle my friend. He probably doesn't think we're friends, but I think we're friends. So, there's like the old adage, like, hey, before you marry someone, go on a trip with them. I think in the Nerdverse, it's, hey, you should probably mythic co-tank with your significant other and not put your shield on and get one shot immediately and see how they react. Because that's what sealed the deal for me. Because I didn't put my shield on, immediately got ganked, and Chris went into, he thought he was in a different chat, and he was just like, I'm never doing this again. She's not that great. And I whispered him on the side. I was like, I didn't put on my shield. I just got a new one, and I didn't equip it to my set yet. And
just
you guys
ran in and caught a fade right away.
Oh yeah, instant death, needed to be res like right away. And I was like, that's a cute look for me. But I wasn't supposed to be tanking that day. I was supposed to be for DPS, but the off
Melee
tank.
Monkey Brain.
Yeah, hell yeah. Rep Paladin Melee Monkey Brain. Other Melee Monkey Brain is Demon Hunter. And that's a lot of fun. Speaking of Demon Hunters, that was my least favorite kind of interaction. Is we just had one guy in a guild, and he was nice enough, but he just always played the victim over and over and over again. And no matter like how much I could get him, he always wanted to do some weird raid tactic while I was raid leading. And I was like, that's great. If this was a mythic guild, it was one of my like off guilds at the time that I was raid leading for. I was like, this is a mythic strategy. These people are playing rec for fun. Like, we're not going to be able to implement this strategy. And then he'd just get like super salty with me, but he was friends with some of our other players. So it was kind of one of those, I just tolerated it and smiled. But at the end of the day, I was like, I never want to play anything with you ever again. Like, I'm just so tired of the victim mentality, like, from that individual. That's my best and my worsts.
Hey, that's not bad. It's actually, as far as this episode goes, I must admit you were the inspiration, right? The story of you meeting your significant other on World of Warcraft.
I have another friend
in the podcast. Oh,
I have another friend who has a good like how she met her husband story. She moved up to Seattle, was going to like first day at her company, saw like a poster for a LAN party. Like there was a LAN, like a video game club at her company. And she like went to this guy and she's like, hey, I want to know about the LAN party. And he's super sweet. I love him to death. But poor Miles started explaining what a LAN party was to her instead of just being, she was like, no, I know what a LAN party is. I wanted to know like when and where. And he just like dead froze and was like, oh no. And it was just super cute that he just mansplained to her what like a LAN party. Yeah, and then they went and she just wrecked him in Siege, and it was glorious. And we go to PAX every year with Haley and Miles, and it's just so much fun. They're super cute together. It's just such a funny, like, oh no.
Oh no.
See,
I had a very, what's the nicest way I can put this without sounding like I'm trying to like trash talk the guy? Socially, I guess inexperienced would be the right
inept?
Like polite. I don't want to say inept because that makes him sound like an idiot. And he wasn't an idiot. He was very smart. He just had no idea how to communicate with other human beings, like on a normal, regular level.
Awkward?
Very.
Okay.
And bless him.
Antagonistic
he was a nice
in a
guy.
way. If it's the one I think you're talking about.
No, this is one of my army friends.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to say his name because I don't want him to be embarrassed. We'll just refer to him as Gun 7. He'll know who I'm talking about when he hears it. Nobody else will. But
So will everybody who's played with
or-
him under that gamer tag.
that's not his gamer tag.
Okay, good.
Poor man's. We were at the bar doing soldier things, which is mostly consuming copious amounts of alcohol, unrestrictedly. There was no hesitation on who was going to drive back because we were just going to get a cab. Someone was more than likely going to vomit in the back seat, and we weren't going to pay for that because that's just what you do in your 20s as a soldier living in the barracks.
You're risking your
anyway.
life for your country.
Yeah. We should be able to vomit in the back of cabs. That should be our God-given right.
Yep.
That's where Eric was going with that.
Do not vomit in the back of cabs. It's very rude.
Very rude.
It's very rude. But I
and
digress.
every
There
Uber driver unsubscribed.
right. So there we were at a place called, I think Big Whiskey's was the name of it. I was there with a couple of my friends outside of the military. Eric's nodding his head like he knows where Big Whiskey's is.
No, I just love the names because bars near base always have the best names. Like,
And
they
so
just
I was there with some people that I had met outside of the army that were had a very wide social circle, and I was trying to introduce Kessel to them. Oh shit, I said his name. I'm sorry, Kessel. I love you.
Anonymity gone.
Yeah, there is. Sorry, big
Oh.
fella. He's gonna.
I'm glad we're
beat the
not-
shit out of me for telling the story.
Glad we're not like live or anything. We can fix it in post, right? Oh wait.
Right. And so I drag him over to this group of people. I'm like, hello, like meet my non-army friends that aren't as weird as me. These are very normal people and you should interact with them. And so he just walks up, like, I'm getting drinks. I'm telling him I'm going to introduce him to these people. He leaves me at the bar while I'm getting more beer and just goes over to a group of people that he has never met before and just sits down at the table. And the only thing he says to them is, hey, in like a really loud, like announcing way. So everybody just turns and looks at him. He then panics and comes back up to me at the bar and he goes, I don't think any of them like me. And I'm like, bitch, I didn't even introduce them to you yet. Like, you have to wait. It's not like I told him you were coming. Like,
Oh no, now he's just the rando who's like, sup.
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like, hey. And then it was like, but he did. He
But-
integrated them with them well, like several months later.
I like how you always have to reintegrate as a soldier coming back to the real world. They're really big on those terms. You got to bring you
Agree.
back, bud. It's good times.
think-
A lot of good Valentine's days in the army.
I feel like you're lying.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I was
100%.
I was going someplace else, and I was like, did a lot of Craigslist shopping during the month of love. Did you?
Never done Craigslist. Gonna be totally honest.
Anyway,
seems
gonna
weird.
yank the reins on that one just a little bit. Put us back
You know
on
what?
track here.
You don't want to talk about the Nightwalkers?
No, we're gonna skip right past
Is that
that.
not considered finding friends on the internet?
First off, world's oldest profession. World's oldest profession. They've been
Really,
doing it
how did they
longer
get
than
paid?
anybody.
Then how
I
did they
don't
get
know.
paid?
Food?
Huh,
They
then
got
the
given
first-
food before
then
money.
The first profession was hunter.
I don't know. They clean the house. I don't know.
Yeah, but you don't have hunters now. Boom, there we go. Let's.
Anyway, so yeah, tonight's episode, as we're kind of covering it, guys, now that we've deviated wildly on that track, is talking about relationships and romances that have come out of the nerdverse, and a lot of these things come from cool stories or personal anecdotes, and I think it's kind of a cool topic. I think it's something that doesn't get covered a lot, so I'm excited about it. And you always have those stories that kind of pop up. What's that one? We talked about it a little bit in a different episode, or maybe it was in a pre-episode, about the couple that met shortly after the Avatar movie came out, and everybody was in a hurry to learn the Na'vi language, right? It was this whole big thing. Everybody was trying to learn it. And from what I understand, the Na'vi language from that movie is one of the most like complex and difficult languages to learn out there. Like, it's supposed to be harder than Klingon. And this couple meets on an online chat room, which is all in Na'vi, and they hit it off. They're doing great. And as it progressed, they quickly learned that neither of them spoke the same language other than Na'vi. So like the first year of their relationship was exclusively in the language from this movie. And I think that's kind of a cool story. I think that's neat. And so, we started talking about it. Me and Travis were talking about it in between episodes.
It's definitely
And
different.
yeah, it's
Love will
different.
find a way.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of cool to think about not just the romances, right? Even though Clark's story inspired the idea for the episode.
So romantic.
So romantic. Getting nuked in a WoW raid, finding true love. It was fantastic.
Hey, you want to run this 20 key with me? The
But
affixes are pretty good this week. Eh?
Outside of WoW, 20 keys means something way different.
Yeah.
but yeah, so it
Good
made me
movie.
start thinking about, old school Halo LAN parties and the friends that I made during that. Playing Magic the Gathering in high school at lunch and the friends that I made from that. People that I never would have hung out with at all. And, it's a little bit different from just being like, oh, I know them because we were in drama club, even though I kind of count that in the Nerdverse. I know them from
Oh,
drama club.
100%.
Oh yeah. But there's something that hits different about, oh, I met them playing Magic the Gathering in high school, or I met them at the comic book shop, or I did a pickup game of 40K with them down at the LGS and got my ass beat. I think that's kind of a cool story. And it did. It made me start thinking about like all the friends that I've made that I never would have met otherwise. And in fact, I know it's a little early in the episode to bring it up, but Eric is one of them. I never would have talked to Eric or interacted with Eric before the podcast. And I think
Ryan
that's
considers you a friend.
cool. That's right. It's a win.
I was expecting Ryan to immediately go like, I never said friend.
No, I count Eric as friend. I think he's cool. He's toxic as all get out, but I think he's cool.
I mean, everyone's a little toxic.
I think most of the toxic is just a shtick now at this point.
Kind of depends. Gonna be honest, video games, I'm iffy. I still call it competitive, but we're not competitive anymore.
Potato
actually,
toxicity, whatever.
I'm gonna follow that tangent just a little bit because I saw something interesting the other day that is kind of related. And it's about the communities where you meet these people, right? Because the communities that you find in different video games and different like groups feel differently and interact differently. And I saw an article that said that every video game has the community that it deserves. And I went, wow, that's some like shade right out of the
League
clickbait.
of Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
I was about to say that exact same thing. I was like, oh man, League is gonna get a lot of shade.
Well, and so the article went on to explain that ultimately the way the game mechanics play out and the way that the versus mechanic plays out builds into those communities. And we make fun of Eric all the time for being toxic, right? But when you're in League, it's effectively you have 5 people. If you have one person that is bad or not doing their job, it can ruin an entire game, which can lead players, especially in things like ranked, to become very frustrated. And over time, that becomes a toxic environment. And actually, Travis, me and you got called out in a positive way in this article because it brought up Deep Rock Galactic.
Specifically, you guys.
Yeah, specifically us. No, me and Travis both play a video game called Deep Rock Galactic, which is amazing. I absolutely love that game. Razor beers and hit the rocks. But that community is considered, to be a pretty positive community, very open, accepting, and supportive. And there's only a handful of people that play one at a time, but it's all versus.
Yeah, it's a super teamwork like related game.
I think games that like for WoW, most of my friends come with that because you are on the same team and like it's more like a team sport. Where PvP, like the Halo lobbies and Call of Duty, it's you versus them, and like you can. I will say WoW does kind of create some toxicity because one person can drag your entire team down, but it's not as bad as a PvP game where you shoot me in the head and I am cursing for the next 5 minutes, hoping you run into my vicinity so you can hear me. Like,
Yeah, and so to kind of get us rolling on that, I wanted to talk about the different aspects of the Nerdverse and what kind of like cultures and positives and maybe faux pas that we find in those settings, right? Because for me, it's interesting. When I take League of Legends as an example, League is probably one of the most toxic communities I've seen online. It's up there with like Elite Dangerous and Call of Duty and
Halo 2 lobbies.
Halo 2 lobbies.
Sort of born and forged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to call out Call of Duty because like they're notoriously,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
the older ones, the absolute. Which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't experience that, but to that degree.
That's
but
because you were the toxic part.
Yeah, like,
Bones,
well, it wasn't
Bones-
that bad, but yeah.
Bones did bring up Sea of Thieves, and I think we should touch on it because that is a game that is wildly up
man.
and down. You have people that
Yeah.
are like super helpful in that game, and then you have dudes that literally camp the opening freaking like
Well,
spawn point just to sink new people's ships. Like,
that's
That game
exactly
made me
right.
seasick. I was out in like 10 minutes. It's the only game I've ever gotten refunded on Steam.
So when it comes to Sea of Thieves, and Sea of Thieves has gotten a lot of attention recently for two reasons. First off, they've released a few really big updates, which were fantastic. But that game is odd because they designed it. The people that designed Sea of Thieves designed it to be a toxic game. It's the whole point.
yeah, is
You're a
the point is to
pirate.
Troll. Yeah,
Yeah.
troll.
They
other
they
pirates.
wanted pirates to fight pirates and steal their stuff. The unfortunate side effect is that anybody that is playing a kind of PvE section in Sea of Thieves isn't using the game for what it's used for. And I'm going to admit that openly. Like, if you're going to step into Sea of Thieves, it's like me agreeing to go play Counter-Strike with Eric. I know what I'm getting into, right? And
I'm not playing Counter Strike, so you'd be waiting for me to download.
so the fun thing about Sea of Thieves for me is that I play it with my kids. And so whenever we have a day off from school or we have some time, we'll load up, I'll throw in a pirate ship, and they just love to go out and fight the skeletons and find treasure and do that kind of stuff. And it's an easy kind of simple game until another player shows up. And so for what I want to use it for, it works until the game functions like it was designed. And I do think it's a troll fest. I think it's an absolutely toxic game. But it was designed to be, and so it's kind of on the players for like knowing what they're getting into. Yeah. Clark, you had finger up?
I was asking if you played Sea of Thieves with your kids so you could sink their ships.
Oh no, we actually just crew up.
Aw, all right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm
I
Remember,
not
you didn't
that-
want to clean your room, Cannonball.
Yeah,
I
I
like-
log on. I log on to chase them down because
That's
like
fair.
we're friends, and so they pop up in the distance, and then I just blow up all their ships.
See, I'm the opposite. I like to make sure my kids know I'm still better than them in video
Kidding.
games. So like I let
I'm
them
kidding.
win
I
like the
obviously don't
first
do
two
that to Ryan's
rounds.
kids. I love Ryan's kids.
I like to win the first two rounds and then let her win and then come back and win. It's good to make sure your kids know.
Yeah,
gotta
get their
get
hopes
better.
up so we can drive them further
Yeah.
down. Solid strategy. Great parenting.
101.
Oh yeah. Well, and you get that a lot with games while we're talking about communities, right? Because Sea of Thieves is a very, very toxic community. Everybody that's in it realizes that that's kind of the point of the game. I truly believe that's what the devs intended the game to be. And so I'm not surprised that that's got a toxic community. And then when you look at things like Apex, for example, Apex Legends, you get kind of the same thing where one person that's bad or trash at the game or less skilled or whatever catches a lot of shade from the fellow players. What gets me about the first-person shooter communities, I guess, especially when you're just jumping in with randos and how it ties into like, oh, I met my friends or whatever, it can flip on a dime. And so if we're in something like Apex Legends and I go out, or even Call of Duty or any FPS really, and I've done nothing wrong per se, right? Like the match has just started, we're 10 seconds in, and I take a sniper headshot and just go down. There's no, oh, that sniper's good or that sniper was on the money or anything like that. There's no
Skill
positivity.
issue, get good, noob.
It's, oh man, you suck so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, fun. And
Just
yeah,
running out there taking the JFK.
right? But then you take it can flip on a dime, right? And because Eric's kind of concept of, oh, you helped me win does ring true, even for me. Back in the day when we were playing Smite a lot, Travis, there was something about the fact that we'd be in Smite doing some ARAM or whatever, and there was somebody else on the other team that was wrecking, that was just bodying everybody. And you get legitimately angry at this, where it's like, why can't I touch them? Why can't the team? How is he 1v5ing the team? This is ridiculous. And so it's like, all right, whatever. We lost that one. We rotate into the next one. And this time, that rando's on our team. And we're just like, yes!
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
See, at least I'm honest about my toxicity.
I had toxic traits, especially when I was a younger man.
Toxic tendencies.
Toxic tendencies. I keep them well hidden now.
I don't. I play the Britney Spears song once in a while while I'm playing games.
Oh, man.
Which one? Oh, toxic?
So speaking of social faux pas, people that play music when you're on open mic.
I don't miss that shit from Halo 2. That was rough, man.
Yeah.
It was never coming out of a good speaker either. It always felt like it was coming out of like a $2 car speaker. Somebody pulled out of a scrapyard. It was just like.
Yeah,
great.
Exactly.
Well, we definitely have to talk about some of the good communities too, though, because like we've talked several times about like some of the other ones, but like some people do build like really solid friendships, and I find you can see though like different sides of communities. Like a lot of people do say things about like Call of Duty, especially just because I played that one heavily like on PS3 and stuff like that when it was supposedly the worst of the worst, and like it wasn't like, I don't know. I had more good times than bad times playing in that community. While I didn't build like solid friendships, like traveling the world or anything like that, like I did, like there was people I played with, things like that. And there was the negative stuff, but I found, I don't know, I get it. Like I do some negative shit, but I still found that the community wasn't quite as bad. And I think it's sort of like, it's just who all's there, man. Like, I don't know if you feed into it, like you can help that person be super toxic or shit like that. Like it's such an interesting thing. And, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of really good communities out there. And I do like Call of Duty. NHL, I think is a great community that's out there. A lot of people, I've played with are good. Usually you only get the toxic stuff if someone intentionally scores in their own goal or like buries the puck behind their own net all the time, shit like that. So I've actually, I do think a lot of the communities in general are getting kind of better than they used to be.
I still have to say that probably one of the most positive and like educating and welcoming groups I ever really played with was again Wonton Wicked. Everybody was like super, they're like, hey, this is how you should do this is how we do that. Like, if you're struggling to stay in character, like here's some tips, feel free to sideboard and hit people up, ask for advice. This is how you can blue book stuff. And it very, very helpful towards pushing your character for like personal goals, helping you out with community goals, helping you out with character development, artwork, and all of that was really great all the way up until the stripper apocalypse, and then things got a little awkward for everybody.
Such a great name.
That's what it was, though.
Yeah,
it was literally the stripper apocalypse.
And the fun part is, even in some of these communities that we've talked about being toxic, right? It's true. It's widely known to be true, but there are moments where it's an exception, right? I'm going to bring up World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has, in my opinion, a community that teeter-totters wildly in either extreme. Either you're catching people that are super toxic or super competitive that are sending you, private messages telling you to uninstall and how terrible you are. Or you're catching the people that, so there was this one time, this many years ago, it was just as, I believe, Cataclysm came out. And I had me and a handful of my friends that were each running.
That's the one with the dragon, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But me and 3 of my friends were running the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and we themed the team just to be goofy, right? And so it was 4 Death Knights named War, Death, Famine, and Pestilence. And we were trying to run dungeons. And we stayed in LFG for a little bit, just getting randos to come in as a healer. And you watch 3 or 4 people that will jump in and look at the team comp and be like, no, and leave.
Yes.
And I can't blame them for that. Like, we were ready for that, right? And I love the fact that when we would get a healer pop in and laugh their ass off and be like, all right, let's do this, was great. And I like those people that can put the hyper competitive side of it down and just have some fun with the game, which can lead to some really cool team ups and really good communities. I found whole guilds in World of Warcraft that way, where it was just like, dungeon queue, and this healer thought we were hilarious and invited us into the guild because we didn't have one. And I think that's really cool.
The only thing I'll say with MMOs is that you put a lot of time into them. They're a lot more forgiving now. So, like, if I played WoW today, I would not be as bad as I used to be. But like some of the older ones, like if you died, you had to go find all your shit, or like sometimes like you'd lose shit. There'd be negative stuff. Like nowadays, they just give you everything back in a lot of them. But like, so back then, that's why MMOs were so serious, because you had to put in, like, it was like having a job. Like, especially like when you played like original EverQuest, that was a job. Like if you wanted to get good and like so like people that came on and weren't serious about it, like, dude, it would ruin it. So I get why people with MMOs more than other games, because like Call of Duty or something, you can turn it off, come back, things like that. Like it's not quite as serious, but like with MMOs, a lot of times like your stats are important. Getting the gear, like there's so much to it compared to like any other video games, truly. So I get it, but that's also why you build some of the best like friendships and things like that. Like I think several people, not just Clark, have met and got married. Like I think people actually married characters, but didn't get married in real life and stuff on WoW.
Yeah, I was
Like-
invited to a WoW wedding.
Yeah, so like MMOs are like very crazy, and I'm excited to see what they do with it in the future and how it will affect like dating and things like that. Like when will like Tinder WoW come out? Like, or is it
Never,
out?
But multiplayer Sims is on the horizon, and I think that will lead to some relationships.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
legit just gonna log into multiplayer Sims and then walk into walls on VR.
So actually, that's
You know,
gonna
like
that's
because there's always that one sim in the house that's just running into the one wall and is frustrated. I'm just gonna do that for everybody's lobby.
So I was at a Comic-Con several years ago. I want to say it was Denver, I think. I could be wrong about that. It might have been Albuquerque. Any case, the cool thing about it was we went through and we went to the panels and we hit the the vendor row and all that kind of stuff, and it was pretty standard con affair. And it was the end of Saturday. Everything was kind of shutting down, and suddenly there was announcements coming out that everybody at the convention was invited to attend a wedding, which I thought was just a crazy move, right? Like it takes some gumption to just throw something like that out and get something like that organized. And so I went, and it was amazing, an absolute blast, packed party. And these two individuals that got married, I'd never met them before, of course, but they had met at a LARP of all things. They ended up on different sides of a LARP. And so then they got married at Comic-Con and invited everybody, cosplay and everything, to their wedding. They had to be some of the coolest wedding pictures of all time, and was a blast. And so, yeah, I think that no matter where you're at in the Nerdverse, there is always potential that you're going to meet either really good friends or a really great community, or maybe even a significant other. And I think that's kind of cool. I think that having the community spring up like that, even in the most niche ways, and have that capability is a lot of fun. You know, me and Travis talked about Wonton Wicked. I've met some really good friends that I'm still in contact with through Wonton Wicked, but I've also met really good friends that were just at my local game shop playing Magic. Because there's nothing quite like just sitting down with a do-nothing deck that you spent $5 on and getting bodied in Magic and having a good time while it happens.
See, and I've had the exact opposite experience trying to get pickup games at local stores
Yeah.
with Magic. The last time, so I used to do it pretty, I wouldn't say frequently. Maybe once a month, once every other month, I would run down to a local game store when I was in the Army and just play some pickup games of Magic. There'd be other Army people there, have a good time. And it was great. The last few times I've gone to do like Friday Night Magic or even just a random pickup game at the local dork store, I have ran into probably my least favorite group of people, and it's the I call it like the well actuallys, like actually, and then they push their glasses up their nose. And like I walked in, I was like, hey, I'm just looking for like just a game of Magic. Just decided I'd bring my deck down and see what's what. And the guy immediately goes, you do play standard, don't you? And I was like, well, I've learned everything I need to know, and I just went home. Like
See, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. See,
It's just it's different when people are in person though compared to like other avenues. Like I've found, like with MMOs, I think that was great because it got a lot of people outside their shell. They got to do things that they weren't accustomed to. They got to be different things, and then when you get like in person, I think people still have their guard up a lot more. People are like they're a certain way, and it's different. I mean, somewhat, yeah. Some of them are more well behaved because they can't hide behind their keyboard. But like, I just feel like people also are different. Like they don't want to be hurt or things like that. Like you get a lot more emotional shit when you're face to face compared to like the MMO stuff. So I think that's why like you, Travis, I've never had a bad experience at a card shop or anything like that, but I've definitely gone in to play a game like with a backpack with cards and stuff and like left without even doing anything. Like I've even bought a box. Like I was going to buy a box of cards, like sit down and open the whole thing there at the comic store. And it's like just the vibe you get. It can be off putting sometimes, but I mean, that's kind of with anything,
yeah.
But I definitely MMO is a better community for me than card shops and things like that.
And so Ryan meeting people at the card shop and having a good experience is kind of where I land on Warhammer, because I've played like a couple of tournaments. I've done okay. Playing Space Marines, you're always going to do okay because you're always going to be middle of the board as far as the averages go, but I played in one, was knocked out almost right away. And so all the people that got knocked out of the tournament decided we were going to run a losers bracket, and probably had some of the most fun playing like 500 to 1,000 point games I have ever played in my entire life. Like just quick, fast. We're not being super technical on any of the rules. Everybody's just making knee-jerk decisions so we can roll dice as fast as we can. And I had just the best time. And I think the winner of the like losers bracket tournament got like somebody put up like one of their really shitty painted models from when they first started playing, and it just had paint like glopped on and it didn't match. It wasn't even the correct colors for the army he was painting. I think it was supposed to be a Space Marine once, but it was a resin cast from like 1970. Actually, I don't think the game's been around that long. I think it started in the 1980s, but it was one of their very like early plastic resin models, and like somebody had just gobbed with like 200 layers of paint on it. I think nail polish was on there somewhere. And so it was just this hideous model that everybody was like really intent to get. And we actually got told we were being too loud because when somebody finally won the really shitty model, all of us started like jumping up and down and cheering like they had just won the grand tournament. And that was super fun. And everybody was playing for just a throwaway model from some dude's bit box.
There you go. Well, and see, Bones was in our chat earlier, and he was talking about how he's found that local game shops can be some of the most like gatekeeping and standoffish kind of communities. And that's really interesting to me because I can see how it happens, right? You get a local shop, you get a few regulars that come in, they kind of form a niche group, and suddenly outsiders they feel weird to be around. My experiences haven't been like that. Now, yes, if I had bad experiences trying to meet friends at a local game shop, absolutely, it's happened. You catch them every now and then, but I really like those days. As an example, I went down to one in a nearby town that was called Rocket City. Great shop, wonderful people. And I walked in to get a couple pots of paint for Warhammer. I wasn't going to buy a whole lot. It wasn't going to be there very long. And I ended up picking up, at the time, it was a new game, and it was called, I think, Crisis Protocol. It was like a Marvel miniatures skirmish game. And I picked it up because it was a Ghost Rider model. And I was like, man, that's a great cast. That's really cool. I might just get this to paint it and have some fun with it. And a whole group of people was at a nearby table. They were already mid-game. And one of them saw it and was like, hey, man, that's actually really good. We just ran a game with that one in it, and it was fantastic. And so I told him, I was like, hey, that's cool. I was just looking at it because it looked nice. Like, I have no idea about the game. I'm a Warhammer player. I don't know what's going on with that. And he was like, oh, you should come check it out. And so these 4 random people just invited me to hang out, learn some basics of the game. I didn't own any models, didn't own nothing. They busted out their own stuff, and it was a blast. And I guess that kind of segues into do's and don'ts in communities. Travis, me and you talked about it before the show a little bit. So,
Rule number 1: let your body touch some bathwater.
yeah. So we covered that in the bad stereotypes episode, right? Where it's like deodorant's a good thing, guys. Like, it's really okay.
It won't hurt you. Put it on. Just a little. You're good to go. But no, actually, I had a question for Clark. So we've talked about your WoW, like all the people you've met through WoW, good and bad. What about like any other formats? Like, have you bonded with people over like manga or manhwa or
Yeah,
other
so
people at Bungie?
yeah, I mean, I have a Bungie team chat that's called the Thousand Sunnies, and it's just everybody we've found who's a One Piece watcher. We're all in it, and everyone just like cringes as people get to like certain parts of the arc. So it's fun. And then, I have a few of the other producers. I actually leave. This is the background that my coworkers see, and like they'll see the manga and stuff like that. And it's made people more at ease in talking to me, I feel like, in some regards. And actually, I was just talking to one of my friends. I call him Octa. That's not his real name. But I was like, what game did we meet on? And it was a mobile game called Game of War. And it was like you had you were in like
generic.
guilds. You were in like
Such
little
a generic
guilds, and
title.
it's so much fun, and you could dump a ton of money into that game. But like he's been I think he was probably, I'm gonna say, like my first adult online friend, and like he's just super awesome, and I appreciate him all the time. But that one, I think I've more had the instance where I've had people that I've like just been around, like at work, who then like, will see me playing old school RuneScape on my phone. I'm like grinding mining, grinding my level 99 mining while doing spreadsheets. And that's how I met my friend Elliot. And then Elliot introduced me to Carla, who's into manga and anime. And now we roll up to Comic-Cons together all the time. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I'd necessarily meet them in a game, but like gaming has brought us together. Like my friend Haley, I used to work with her, and she made like a D&D joke, and I caught it, and I was like, D&D? And like that's how our friendship began, is like I caught a D&D joke, and she was still like in the closet D&Ding. So I was like, you should come out of the closet and hang out with the rest of us. It's really nice.
For the most part.
Yeah, but
I inadvertently got drug into a D&D group that played a much different style of Dungeons and Dragons than I did, through a work colleague that also made like a D&D reference. I was like, cool, like I played a lot of D&D. They were like, you should come to our next session. It's on like Friday night. And I was like, I can skip the bar for one Friday and come hang out. That's down. I go out there, I brought like a 6-pack of beer with me and like some snacks, like chips, just to the table. Just be like, hi, I'm new. I want to make a good impression. Here's, food and beverage. I get in, and it's all costumes and speaking in character. And I had gotten with the DM before to roll up a character. and I think I'd done like a charisma rogue, and they were like, "All right, now like tell us what you'd say," and I was just like, "Let me roll," and they were like, "No, you have to tell us what you would say in character," and I'm like, "Oh God, you can't just put me on the spot like this. Like I am not prepared for any of this emotionally and or physically." And they were like, "Well, you just say what your character would say." I was like, "I don't know what my character would say. His charisma score is a 19. Mine's like a 4 on a good day." Like,
That's a true statement, my friend.
like,
You know what's funny? Actually, we brought up the xenophobia in D&D, right? And we did have some bad experiences with that. But some of my best friends that I have in my hometown right now, I actually met because I got invited to a D&D game. So it was right after I moved here, and I was actually living with a buddy of mine here in the village, and he just hit me up one day and said, "Hey, I know some guys that are getting a game together. Why don't you come down and check it out?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. Like as long as they're fine with it and they're aware that I'll be there, like I'd love to." And so, what's up?
Oh no, I just thought of something that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier.
Yeah, it's actually kind of where I was at too. Once he brought that up, I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe I missed that one."
We,
So anyway, I go down to
we've
this
been
D&D game.
critting the Nerdverse dudes.
Right? Exactly. Oh, there's a fantastic relationship right
Yeah.
there.
also a good shout out. Those guys are dope. You should check
Yeah.
them out.
Those guys are great. So I go down to this D&D group, and it was kind of it was almost a session zero kind of night, right? Like they were just kind of burning up. They were getting ready to start something new. And I was getting invited to join in at the start of this campaign, which I was like, "Ah, that's fantastic." And so they asked me like, "Hey, do you have any experience with the game?" I was like, "Yeah, I've played it for a really long time. I have a gaming group that I've had since high school." Which of course in D&D, you're going to get one of only a few questions that come next. It's most commonly, "What did you play?" And I
Can
got
you
to
DM?
yeah, I got to say the line of, well, I didn't play very much actually. I'm a dungeon master. And you just watch all their eyes go, "Yes." And so I ended up meeting, there was 6 of them, and it turned
And then
into
Ryan
like
snuck into their house and was like, "Let me show you what I can do with dice."
yeah, pretty much. But no, it
And then
turned
they would
into
scream and the cops were called.
the next 2 hours. They were just like, "Well, tell us about your last campaign." And I went, "Okay." And so that's what I did. For 2 hours, I told them about the last campaign I had, the characters and the arcs, and it was just story time. And now I've hung out with them since. In fact, they're at my my analog D&D game coming up on Monday. So
So I've got to give a special shout out to 2 friends that I made in college in Eastern New Mexico via partying. It's Ugly and Joey, little Joe.
oh yeah,
Eventually, we got into a D&D game in Portales, and I decided, it'd be dope is if we came down to Roswell, you meet my friend Ryan, who's big into Dungeons and Dragons. You guys will hit it off. It'll be great. First impression was Ryan was very asleep. I had knocked on his door and gotten no answer. We noticed that there's a window unit air conditioning. Very vulnerable spot to break into a house. So Ryan met 2 people on the first day with a little B&E
yeah.
that led into a D&D game eventually.
All right, so we got to do something Valentine-y and different. So who are you taking on a date? Video game characters. You get one out of
That's
the
a
entire
dangerous
universe.
Bones, go first.
I'm
You're
gonna.
listening live. I'm expecting your response to be typed in soon. I'm literally watching the chat right now.
He also said shout out to work nerd friends.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think I'd go Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. You don't gotta.
solid.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You go on a couple dates and then it's done. You don't have to worry about the.
Eric, you can't just say shit like that. What's the matter with you?
But she's still alive in the new one.
To be fair, I was gonna make a necrophiliac joke. So
See?
Oh man, it's all right. I'll cover the rest of the session. Y'all can go.
But yeah,
it's like I was also gonna make a necrophilia joke. So I guess all of us are just gonna like.
We'll just sign off now if that's how you're feeling.
Ryan and your high horse.
That's why he plays a necromancer.
He says Chun-Li. James says Chun-Li. I'm gonna guess
okay.
Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thick
I can
thighs.
see the appeal.
Oh, you mean earmuffs?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, if you're
I'm
responsible,
gonna TOS us just one more
Um,
time.
but
I was waiting for Ryan to get that joke.
on a real note, though, I would go with Aerith. Not because of the death thing, that kind of sucks. But I don't know. The rest of she's an interesting character. It's good. She's not too demanding. There's a lot of upsides.
Let's see. First date. I am going to go with Liara from Mass Effect. She's super intelligent. She's pretty.
Blue,
and
right?
Indeed. She
And she's
works
blue?
in. Yes, although that's not really a contributing factor here, but yes, she is indeed blue. More pressing, she has a profession that I find fascinating, and that she's very passionate about. And especially on first dates, if you can find that little niche, right, that little click where they're in something that you're curious about and they're passionate about it, it turns into kind of a question story time, deep conversation kind of thing, and I really enjoy that. So
James says he's not surprised you picked
Yeah, I
an
picked an
alien. And okay, so someone said 2B.
Yeah,
Oh,
2B
yeah.
from
it's the
Yeah.
Nier series, right?
Nier Automata.
Yeah,
I
Michael
actually
said
just went to
2B.
their concert. The orchestra concert was in Dallas, and we had some friends come out, and we went to that, and it was very good. I also just got introduced to that as an older video, it's an older video game. Still really good. I've been playing it lately, but yeah, 2B is up there on the waifu list.
Not only did Ryan pick an alien, Bones, he also picked one with tentacles. So here we are.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Everything
circle.
coming back to old Tentai Rai.
Full circle.
All right, Clark, who you got?
I'm going Cloud.
Solid.
Cloud Strife. I got it.
Yeah,
Feel you,
Cloud
dog.
Strife, Final Fantasy. It would have also been Sora from Kingdom Hearts. That was I think my first video game crush. But I
That
also
dude's
just
got
have...
weird fucking feet.
Okay, hey,
And we know where Travis's line
Fair.
is now.
look at the drawings of him. He's got weird
big
feet.
goofy feet. I know he has big giant
They're not even long. They're just this short, but then they bubble up at the top 14 inches.
Yeah, but that's also when I was wearing Osiris's, and I also had big bubble feet with my skater shoes. So
I feel you, dog.
when I was doing kick,
All right, Travis.
Yeah, I was
Front
doing
yard.
mad kick flips and front grindies. Man, this is gonna be a real tough toss-up for me. I'm gonna have to say either Tifa Lockhart or Miranda from Mass Effect 2. Both of those are pretty high on my list.
Final Fantasy VII just making
Right,
making great
sweeping.
characters.
Yeah,
Man,
Target rich environment. Target
spit
rich.
out
Definitely a
who's
target rich.
bondos and waifus left and right.
I mean, I think I may give the edge to Miranda because she's just got an absolute dump truck.
Miranda from what?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 2.
Oh yes, they definitely. Yeah, it's not a bad.
Her character was also pretty dope. As far as her character art goes, was actually pretty cool.
Tifa was pretty good too. She could throw
Tifa
some
was
punches
dope.
and cook food. There's a lot of ups there.
My favorite
She could do it all.
moment was still the Advent Children movie where she
Okay.
just uppercuts Cloud's foot to launch him higher. I thought that was pretty fucking dope.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's launching Cloud higher and higher, and she just gives the old shitty-ukin and launches him 14 stories in the air.
Eric just said and cook food, and that brings up an interesting question I want to pose to Travis and Clark here. Y'all didn't bring up vending machine?
Because
Oh.
Eric doesn't cook.
Vendiku?
Hey, I cook. Let's
Does
get that straight. I cook. I'm good at it.
Chicken nuggets in the microwave does not count.
Oh, I'm a good cook. There's a lot of things I'm not good at.
Chicken nuggets in the oven, guy.
No.
Being a
We
good
have
human
heard
all the
about
time.
Your meatloaf and your meatballs.
Yeah, your slices
You are
of
not
Wonder
going to
Bread,
come
your-
on here
your
and say that
meatballs.
you're a good cook.
I'm
with sticking
good.
bread chunks in your
Nothing.
meatballs.
Nothing really
I'm a good
rounds
guy.
out a good meal like a piece of Wonder Bread. Cheerios, Wonder Bread.
Yep.
Wonder Bread.
You sit down, sir.
James said Yuffie was his runner-up, and Michael said Rosa
Oh,
from Final Fantasy
Fantasy
IV.
Four.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think of my
Not
original
Bayonetta.
like video game crush now.
Man,
Everyone's got
Bayonetta.
lot of
should
Final
be on
Fantasy
there.
characters. All right, let's do
Ooh.
the let's do the
original.
the role reversal. So everyone who said like a female crush, who's your like male crush in a video game?
Gonna swip it. Let's see.
Yeah. We'll start with Eric.
I don't know. Tough one. Very tough.
I know who mine is right away.
What do you got?
Well, who do you got? Like, I got to think on
Dante,
this.
like from Devil May
From
Cry.
Devil May
like,
Cry.
So like easy win.
Chris Redfield. Yep.
Solid choice.
Yep. He could
Solid
protect
choice.
me.
Ryan's gonna be like Red 13, and we're just all gonna leave.
Don't get me wrong.
No,
I
no.
think having a dinner with the talking lion dog thing would be
Having dinner
very,
with
very
the
entertaining.
lion dog would be super entertaining. But I'm talking about like who's the man crush in video games?
Well, I hate to just live in Final Fantasy VII right now, but Vincent Valentine.
Yeah, you tied with Bones. He just launched that one into
Did
the
he?
chat. Vincent Valentine.
Yeah, nice. I will say, just for the giggles of it, I would not be opposed to having a night out with Kit Fisto from Star Wars. But yeah, Vincent Valentine from Final Fantasy VII would be one hell of a date.
Interesting.
All right, Clark, it's on you.
Really doing her research. You can hear it over there.
Just typing
No,
away.
I was.
She's looking at
mine-
pictures of her husbando naked. That's why she's been so distracted.
Yeah.
Vendy
no.
Coon. Vendy Coon with empty
Yeah,
springs.
that's it. I mean, 2B is always, she's pretty high up there, but also I liked Lady from Devil May Cry. She's a solid one.
All right, that's fair. All right,
Crap,
so Ryan was going. I think Ryan was going on the who would you like to have just sit down and have a dinner with from
Oh,
Nerdverse.
I
no,
heard
I was
pick
talking
an
about
opposite.
That's what I did. But
Oh,
I think
okay.
that's where Ryan was going earlier. Was like, who would you like to just have a dinner with, like a sit down?
Sauron.
Hey, that's not bad.
I think that would be a really fun combo.
Interesting.
I have some
So,
questions.
We had some
Mostly, how does he
runner-ups.
keep his eyeball moist?
We had some runner-ups
It's made of
on
fire.
the date night, right? So first dates with fictional characters. There were some great ones, especially in Final Fantasy VII. But I'm going to throw out a runner-up with Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. Would be a hell of a first date. Let me ask you.
Is
guys
that the
this.
super tall one?
Yeah, where's the big hat? So
She'd
as
be
we're
too
coming up
mean.
on the end of the
Speaking
episode
of that,
here.
slight tangent. But has anybody watched the fly swatter video with Lady Dimitrescu and the guy with the fly swatter from Resident Evil?
No.
If you have not, super funny video. It's a guy like basically instigating the boss fight, and he's equipped like literally equipped a fly swatter, and so she hunches to go through the door, and he like runs past her and gives her a few whacks with the fly swatter, and she turns around to run the other way, and he squirts out the door and runs behind her and gives her a few whacks with the fly swatter, and then just runs around to the other side, and he does that for like a solid, I don't know, like 2 or 3 minutes before he finally gets killed by the boss, and it's absolutely hilarious. What you got, Clark?
I'm changing mine. Instead of Lady, who I thought it was, it's Nico, the one who makes your guns.
Nico?
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah.
Nobody
that's the
brought
way
up
better option.
Karlach from Battlegrounds from Baldur's Gate 3.
Karlach? Well, I mean, Helsing's obviously the main romance.
Oh,
choice.
interesting.
Only
Taking on that golden retriever energy. All right.
Hell yeah, Goth Girl Golden Retriever.
So in y'all's experience, whether this was romantic or whether it was through making some friends or making connections, what did you find to be the most positive community that you found yourself in the Nerdverse?
Oh, the Covenant, hands down. Like that core group of friends has been nothing but a bright spot for me. So
Absolutely.
shout out to that whole group and all of the wild games that we play and wonderful stories. So,
I mean, yeah, mine's going to be WoW, even though I don't play as much anymore. I think that's old school RuneScape's definitely not it, where people will take you into the wilderness and be like, hey, what color's your hair? And you take off your helmet and die. So, good times there.
Interesting.
Wow. Some trauma. I can definitely hear some trauma there.
Some serial killer shit for RuneScape, man. That's dark.
Jesus.
Yo,
What
selling
color's your
girlfriend,
hair?
man.
Tell me about your shoes. You're gonna make a
myself.
feed
You're
joke,
welcome,
right?
Ryan.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so my thing is definitely outside of video games. Would probably be just doing the brand stuff. I've met a lot of other podcasts now. Michael says City of Heroes, early years.
Oh, yeah, solid community.
But yeah, mine would definitely be the podcast / TTRPG community. They are the most welcoming I've found on like Twitter, especially because that place is like you got to kind of dodge the cesspools as you like maneuver through the people. So it's interesting. I don't mess with Reddit. We do have a Reddit page, I think. I set it up. I never did anything with it. That's one, like I said, I'm not a big fan of, but I've definitely this community, like with podcasting and tabletop. I mean, video games is good too. Don't get me wrong. But I've definitely found like tabletops bigger, like people interact more. I think a lot of tabletop people are probably more extroverts and a lot of video game people are more introverts.
So shout out to Too Legit to Crit.
Absolutely.
Yes. No, amazing show. First people we like really worked with. I'm like I've talked about before in discussions with other podcasts, the AARPG, Sock Drawer, stuff like that in regards to doing like some round table stuff, to be even more inviting to like the other communities. So yeah, I would definitely pick this. I know it's not video game ish or something like that, but this would probably be the biggest one.
Related.
Oh yeah.
See, I'm actually in a very similar boat. I'm going to try to avoid copying too much, but I am going to absolutely give a shout out to my gaming club, The Covenant. Best games I've ever played. And now 21 years come July. So, woo! Gaming club's getting old.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's weird to think about, right?
So.
And yeah, we have a huge group of some of the most amazing people that I've ever hung out with. I have to say, Eric, you kind of took the words out of my mouth with the podcasting community. The people that have helped us with this show and that have collabed with us have been absolutely wonderful. I've never encountered a group that was so not just uplifting, but wanting to help, wanting to support their peers without any kind of adversarial stance at all. I've been absolutely amazed.
Yeah, there's definitely no controversy. Like there's not a competitive thing because everybody realizes, like, if you just work together, this is one of the few things where everyone could kind of eat to be the business-esque way. So as everyone grows, more people get involved with the community, more people see the other podcasts, more people see the other YouTube channels, the Twitch, the everything. So it grows it all together. So the more we kind of help each other out and work together, like the bigger the community grows. There's like 8 billion people on the planet. Probably 6 billion of them are nerds. So it's just reaching all of them. But yeah, so it's just,
I feel like that's not a correct ratio.
That's absolutely correct.
I really appreciate the math on that.
Yeah, it's good. I'm very good at math. But yes, that's the thing with our community, though.
I think I agree. And truth be told,
together.
Well, it's easy to kind of take that low-hanging fruit. I think everybody has a little bit of nerd in them, or at least most people. And so I'm going to support Eric on the 6 billion mark.
There's a lot of old people.
Yeah, fair point.
And babies.
I don't know, people collect like stamps and stuff.
Dude, babies? I told you my daughter watched me play Rainbow Six when she was 3 months. She was into it.
Watching.
She was into
Why
it.
Are you letting your baby watch you shoot people?
Because I had to feed her and play the game at the same time. I can't neglect my child.
Yeah, that was the priority. My bad.
Well,
I'm gonna roll my comment back.
Uh-oh.
Ryan's like, yeah. Oh, it was gonna be a good one. I'm definitely gonna let it fly once the recording's done.
All right.
Actually, you know what? It's been long enough. YouTube's not gonna catch us on it. Ryan said everyone's got a little nerd in them, and with it being Valentine's Day, a lot of significant others are gonna have some nerd in them too.
Important to note that when you do that, make sure you're safe.
You know what?
See,
Yeah,
Eric
with
whatever.
the power.
And Eric with the power of positivity following up. See,
See, you got to be safe.
gotta be
It's
safe.
important.
And on that note,
Raincoats, friends.
we here at Crossing the Nerdverse really enjoy doing this, guys, and we do this for you guys, especially you that
Do
are
we enjoy
listening
doing this?
listening live to all of our
You
absolute
lo-
nonsense. And so I'm going to take this moment to encourage everybody that listens to us or watches us on YouTube to give us a like, give us a follow, engage in that comment section, let us know what you're thinking, especially if you have any comments.
Damn, comment section
in
is blowing
regards-
up right now. In point of fact, good job, guys.
Yeah. We really appreciate it, guys. All those algorithmy things really help us keep the lights on around here and help us keep coming back every week. So thank you.
Oh, and we just did like a shout out with Everlasting Veteran, I want to say. Sorry if I said it wrong. It's a guy I served with. He does a lot like and he's blown up pretty quick actually with his podcast. Doing a lot for veterans out there. He actually just subscribed to us. I'm checking him out too. That's actually another podcast that's out there. I had something else that was exciting. Oh, thinking about designing condoms since we were out of rain jackets. Throwing that out there. Could be coming your way as the next thing. I found a website when I was bored.
Get
Dude,
out
I've
of
had a lot of free time.
Get out
Dude,
of town.
so much
No,
free
the
time.
The veto's coming. You need to go to work.
Yeah.
You need to go to
Dude,
work
we had-
so
I have a
bad.
Dude, I was-
suggestion for your design. Can it be like those zebra gum packs where you get like you roll it off and there's like a little tattoo you get? I'm
But the-
helping Ryan. He's
No,
gonna be a-
like
I changed my stance. Clark's right. I changed my stance.
and they come with like you can actually order them with carriers, so you don't just stick them in your wallets anymore, guys. So that way you can be smart and they last longer. But I have
Actually,
done
you know what?
research on this.
Your old Nintendo DS packs fit a condom in them well, like the little holders, the cases.
See,
that is a
we're
fun
being
nerd
smart.
fact.
Smart on Valentine's.
You
Right
know what?
around.
I'm just going to take that stance. You're being smart,
High five,
being
what,
safe on
Travis?
Valentine's.
We could be like the new Price is Right. How he used to say neuter your cats instead of neuter your cats, wear a raincoat.
I don't remember that from The Price is Right.
Wasn't that
Yeah, he
Price
was
is
always-
Right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
Bob
I'm
Barker
sure
was
it
always
was.
telling people to spay and neuter
Yeah,
their
spade
pets.
neuter the. Yeah, we can just you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
We got so wild here at the end of this. I'm glad this is toward the
Yeah.
end. People are gonna have to watch the
It's-
whole episode to catch us.
Right.
A lot of good clips are gonna come out of this last like 20
I'm excited
minutes.
for the post. I'm excited for
Yeah,
the
this is
TikTok
so good.
posts. So that
Oh.
will be fantastic.
One other thing, if people are still kicking around, so we have a Patreon, like everything else, because I got everything. So what I want to know is something to do on it. If anybody's got ideas or they want us to do, maybe we'll record our post or our pre-game stuff, although not always appropriate.
Pre-show
Some
stuff.
feelings, yeah,
Wildly
feelings-
inappropriate.
yeah, some feelings could get hurt.
It's a
To
little
record.
insensitive.
Yeah,
a little
absolutely.
bit.
But
I don't know what y'all are talking about. I am an angel.
I am
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
willing.
Clark is also a liar.
I am
But,
willing to put that on Patreon
Yeah.
for a subscription thing.
Pay to watch us. Make
Well,
videos
because
of ourselves.
Patreon's like
I'm in.
donations. Like if you donate, you get extra stuff. So I just need ideas because I don't want to give people some bullshit. That's
Eric
basically
Well, yeah,
what it
and-
is.
Eric feet pics.
Any case,
I mean,
the
I'll do
point
feet
behind
pics if
all
that's what
this-
everybody wants. Like I'm down.
if everybody votes for it, Eric's like, this is my
Yeah.
big toe.
I did shave my legs last week, so
The
Makes him
point
faster
behind all of
when
this,
he's
of course,
shoveling
is that
snow.
we want to make sure that all of our setups are in service to our fans and our listeners. So thank you very much for that. Of course, right now we are getting it set up where our Patreons can get early access and sneak peeks to our merch, early access to the stores, access to the pre and post game shows. And we want to know what y'all would be looking for and what the community would be interested in.
What
You
you
can
got,
sell
Clark?
matches with Eric. You can go play video games with Eric. You can
Well-
buy matches with us.
You know what?
And
Yeah.
just tank your rank score.
whoa. I am taking it to a whole new level if I'm playing with somebody.
Can you imagine Eric before each show? Is that motherfucker here? Is he in
Yeah.
the chat?
Absolutely.
This guy paid me $10. This guy's horrible.
NHL 24. But anyways, so I think that's it. Like, we're on everything. We post on everything. We interact on everything. We have like a bazillion projects going on, which are all literally slowly getting done. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Patreon. Yeah, I brought up everything. Yeah, so just throw back some ideas.
Well, and I do want to take this opportunity just one more time to shout out Too Legit to Crit. We have an upcoming episode with them where we have the return of Rebel Claws coming out. And so everybody that enjoyed that first episode, keep your eye open for that.
Yeah, stay tuned. Maybe I can fix my time card. But with that, we're going to bring this episode to a close. We've been crossing the Nerdverse. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Stay toxic.
Oh, that is a messed up part.